Sahabat peradaban kasih ekologis yang terkasih, Unika Soegijapranata Semarang bersukacita menyambut doktor baru, salah satu dosen Unika Soegijapranata Semarang, tanggal 8 Februari 2023 telah mempertahankan tesisnya untuk studi program doktor di Radboud University of Nijmegen, Belanda. Saya ikut menyaksikan melalui live streaming defense yang dijalani oleh Kak Uli Sidabalok yang mempertahankan tesisnya dalam sidang terbuka di aula Universitas Radboud di Nijmegen. Profesiat Kak Uli atas pencapaian ini menambah kekuatan Unika Soegijapranata dalam mengembangkan bakat dan talenta untuk bangsa dan kemanusiaan. Talenta pro patria et humanitate. Ada hal yang menarik dari ujian tadi. Beberapa kali nama Unika disebut dengan maksud tentu saja Universitas Katolik Soegijapranata Semarang, tempat promovendus mengabdikan hidupnya dalam pengabdian, pengajaran, dan penelitian selama ini. Juga sangat menarik bahwa di akhir defense, pemimpin sidang mengucapkan kalimat doa ini. Gratias agimus tibi, Omnipotente Deus, pro fundatore caeterisque, Benefactoribus nostris, et pro universis beneficiis Tuis, vivis et regnas Deus in saecula saeculorum. Amen. Suatu ungkapan syukur kepada Tuhan yang Maha Esa yang telah menganugerahkan segala rahmat dan berkat untuk kita semua sebagai Tuhan Allah yang hidup dan meraja sepanjang segala masa. Amin. Selamat dan profesiat kepada Doktor Uli Sidabalok. Selamat dan profesiat kepada Unika Soegijapranata Semarang.
Allow me to have another question, or you go for a second?
I think you continue just with your.
This is very much in relation to what have been asked and what you have been explained before. You mentioned that in locating waste sites in Indonesia, there would be a potential injustice when the relevant actors do not become parties in the decision-making process in the urban policies. So, however, you also mentioned in section 7.2 that most marginalized communities are not well represented in the local parliaments, as Indonesian society is highly hierarchically organized, and those are not often the ones to be elected, as we all know. So even though Indonesia is on paper a democratic society, in theory or in practice it's a bit different. So, and even when they are participating in specific meetings, there is the culture of tolerance, like you just explained. And also in section 5.5 you pay quite some attention on it. So the attitude that they are reluctant to refuse action from others, even though they do not agree with that action, is quite common in Javanese society, but all over Indonesia you can find this kind of attitude. So how would you envision a kind of co-creative process in the development of a just geographic environmental justice (TDS) system in terms of fair distribution of benefits and risk? Do you have any good practices of these, or is the only way out to either accept and give in, or tolerate or resist? Can you explain a bit more about that?
Yeah, Honor, sir. When I found the responses of people. So the responses is struggle of community, both in coping and resisting strategy. Actually, this is the description that people actually don't want temporary disposal site reside in their place. But as you know that Javanese people usually not direct persons. So actually, this is the way, this is the information that I want to give to the government. See, your community, your people actually reject the situation. And then the government should see not just the way how people just receive, but also how people react and respond to the situations. Having defended my dissertation to the best of my ability, I would like to thank the rector, my supervisor, and also co-supervisor, as well as those who have honored this ceremony with their presence.
Thank you very much, dear candidate. The doctoral examination board now retreats for deliberation. I reopen this ceremony. On behalf of the doctorate board of the Radboud University Nijmegen, we have decided to award you the degree of doctor. I invite Professor Ernste to discharge the task assigned to him.
With the power entrusted by law to the doctorate board, I hereby confer upon you, Otmauli Sita Balok, born in Tarutung, the title of doctor from Radboud University Nijmegen, to which are attached all the associated legal and customary rights and duties with respect to academia and society. As proof thereof, I present you with this doctoral diploma signed by the rector and the doctoral thesis supervisors and co-supervisors.
May I invite you to sit down again, and I will give the floor to Dr. van der Velde and Dr. van Naarsche for the laudatio.
Honored Doctor, as we can say now, Otmauli Sita Balok, but it's easier to say dear Uli. It's a real and great pleasure to congratulate you today with obtaining the doctorate at our Radboud University. You have arrived at the end of your doctoral rite, sometimes adventurous, long expected, maybe with sometimes some doubts, but this is the end of a, speaking for ourselves, a supervisor, really a rewarding trip, and we hope you have had the same and similar experience. Of course, we have to acknowledge it has been quite a long trip, but that gave us all the more time to enjoy each other's company. And we also have to emphasize that the length of the ride was not caused by taking any detours from the start. You have set your target, and that is where you are now. And for us, the length of the trip is actually expressing also the fact that you have been striving for the best, and also has had to combine it with several other important tasks next to being the PhD candidate, also lecturing at Unika, and maybe even more managing your family life. So bringing this to a successful end, I think, is truly an achievement. A few words on your thesis project. Your main concept has always been environmental justice, or to be more precise, as you have made clear in the defense, also geographical environmental justice. And I think the nice thing about this concept, it combines beautifully your background in law, Unika's graduate program in environmental and urban studies, and of course the fact that you joined human geography here in Nijmegen. It's also, I would say, a picture-perfect topic to be embedded in our department, which is called Geography, Planning and Environment. You studied the actual spatial patterns of the TDSs, the different actors and forces in the planning, or sometimes maybe better expressed as non-planning process, and the resulting consequences, especially looking at equality and justice issues. So as an engaged social scientist, you developed quickly a great empathy and maybe what's even more sympathy with the disadvantaged people having to live with the TDSs and the consequences, and in your case, especially emphasizing the women and young children in this. Sometimes we had to remind you that you are first and foremost working on a project to understand what is going on in waste management in Semarang, and should try to be the independent and objective researcher as much as possible, how difficult this has been for you at many times. So you also felt a real obligation towards other respondents, such as the representatives of NGOs, relevant civil servants and policymakers, and an obligation to make a difference and come forward with concrete recommendation, as you also showed in the defense, and how to deal with these issues, especially where it concerns the unbalanced power relationships. So we sometimes felt we had to curb your activist attitude a bit in this. Well, from now on, you can go all the way and deploy your advanced knowledge for the betterment and more justice in the urban environment in Semarang, Indonesia, and I think even beyond. So just as we had discussion on how you could or should yourself relate to your case in on a personal engagement base, we also had lively discussion on what exactly the geography is in environmental justice, which appeared, of course, in many of the questions. So environmental justice, a broad concept, for example, concerning the financial compensation of bad environmental interventions, and more recently, the rights of natural objects such as rivers and rocks, and what sometimes is called parliament of things. So in your case, adding geography to environmental justice explicitly draws the attention to social equality in and of the spatial distribution of objects with environmental impacts. So in that sense, I think your thesis and your defense has a clear added value, conceptually as well as practically, also showed in your defense. So in my personal and humble opinion, your thesis and other work have brought our insights in this topic a bit further. Also, thank you for the many joyful years we have been working together, and I hope we will continue to cooperate one way or the other. We still send bachelor students on a regular basis to Semarang. In that sense, we will keep in touch. And I would like now to give the floor, pass on to Tom, who has had an even longer relationship with Semarang and you, and of course would like to say a few things.
I forgot my spectacles. Anyway, dear Dr. Uli, I congratulate you with this milestone in your academic career. And on this day, my thoughts go back to the first letter I received from Unika saying that they wanted to establish a relationship. They proposed 3 PhD candidates. On behalf of the Geography department, I could answer that at least one of the candidates should be a woman. Now, nowadays, that seems natural, but if I'm not mistaken, maybe there was none. So you were one of the first ladies who entered the department, and I had no doubt that you would accomplish the task of writing a PhD. You have a judicial background, you are politically engaged, and like the other candidates too, I should say, and you did empirical research, and from a bit neglected, but anyway, that is the conceptual point of view. What to say more? Pada akhirnya saya ingin mengucapkan selamat kepada ibu Anda dan putri Anda yang ada di sini, dan juga tentunya suami Anda, Ganda, yang ada di Bengkulu. But I hope he can also has followed this ceremony not by Zoom, but by
Live stream?
Yes, live stream. Okay, thank you.
Dear Dr. Soegijapranata, also on behalf of the Radboud University Doctoral Board, I'd like to congratulate you with your doctor's degree. Also, congratulations to your family, your friends, your colleagues, and of course the promoters and the co-promoters. Ladies and gentlemen, there is an opportunity to congratulate the young doctor. That's how it's called, a young doctor, in downstairs. So please follow the cortege downstairs in a few minutes. We have now come to the conclusion of this ceremony, and I ask you all to stand because we close with the following words. Gratias tibi agimus Omnipotente Deus, pro omnibus beneficiis Tuis, vivis et regnas per omnia saecula.
Sahabat peradaban kasih yang terkasih, sampai jumpa pada episode berikutnya. Terima kasih atas kebersamaan kita. Salam peradaban kasih ekologis. Berkah dalam.